What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we actually have a bunch of big news that we need to get to today. First, we're going to get to some of the election news because Republicans are just one seat away from taking control of the House of Representatives. We also know that the Producer Price Index, the PPI, it came out less than expected, which now makes some wonder if this truly means the end of inflation. We're also going to talk about increased layoffs, and at the end of this video, I want to talk about how the American people could get refunds. This is from one company, and they were ordered to pay back $222 million back to their customers. So I will address that at the end of this video. All I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and let's begin. So what we know is that Republicans are just one seat away from taking the majority in the House. You can see that right here. All you need is 218 seats in order to gain majority. Well, they're one seat away. We already know that Democrats are going to hold the majority in the Senate. They will possibly hold it with a 50-50 split, and Vice President Kamala Harris will be the tie-breaking vote, or they could actually get as much as 51 Senate seats. And this will come down to the Georgia Senate runoff. Now, this will be very slim as far as their margins. And again, the results of Republicans gaining control of the House of Representatives, this isn't going to mean much as far as passing legislation. And I want to be very clear on this because I know a lot of people have been saying that Republicans are going to win the House. This means we're going to see, tax cuts. We're going to see other legislation. Yeah, we may see it, but is it going to be a bill? Is it legally going to pass? No, I don't believe it will. I want to explain why. What we are expecting is gridlock for the next 2 years, okay? Because we'll have a Democratic Senate and a Republican House, and we got a Democratic president. We're not going to see anything. We will not see anything outside of a bipartisan bill. Some are saying that this is exactly what the American people needed. They need gridlock. They don't want, over the next couple of years, if neither party can pass any legislation, that is perfectly fine, according to experts. They say that this will also force Republicans and Democrats to work together to try to pass any bill, because it would have to be a bipartisan bill sometime over the next 2 years in order to be considered. So that's major news right there. Let's also talk about the Producer Price Index, or the PPI. Now, it was projected to rise by 0.4% last month. However, it only went up by 0.2%. That's big. This also means that the Producer Price Index, year over year, PPI rose by 8% as opposed to 8.4% back in September. But we've actually had a pretty significant decline, because back in March of 2022, we were sitting at 11.7%. Now we're down to 8%. That's actually pretty good. 3.7% drop? Yeah, that's significant. And again, we talked about this last month, and I told you that PPI is extremely important because it shows where prices are coming in once the product is produced. It's the finished goods, right? And produced products are always going to dictate the prices, because it's going to give us an indication of where the CPI report is headed, the Consumer Price Index. Remember, PPI is producer, CPI is consumer. So if the PPI is coming in at only a 0.2% increase, hopefully for next month, that means CPI will come in a little bit less than expected, which I don't think we're going to see deflation, but are we seeing disinflation? Yes, that is the expectation, and hopefully that is what we see over the next few months. And while we are seeing these price changes, what's happening is we are experiencing some tough times in our economy. For example, today we learned that Amazon plans to lay off 10,000 employees starting this week and into the weeks ahead. This will be one of Amazon's biggest layoffs they've ever done. This will most likely be the biggest one in history. But The reason for this is not because their business is struggling. It's not because their business is not doing well. It's because they hired too quickly. That's why. Amazon had roughly 798,000 employees back in 2019. In the end of 2021, they had 1.6 million employees. Okay, over 100% increase. That's huge. Now, these layoffs will happen in the corporate and technology sectors of Amazon, but they're not the only business that is going to be laying off employees. We know Twitter laid off they laid off seriously about 50% of their workforce. Meta laid off about 13% of their staff. Even Redfin announced they're cutting 13% of their staff as well. And when it comes to real estate, this downturn will greatly impact our economy. And it's not just because of housing prices and equity. Yeah, those are some fancy terms, but that's not really why it's going to impact our economy. Here's the reason why. As people lose their jobs, they stop spending money, which impacts other jobs. Just look at housing, for example. Let's just take housing for a second. Let's say rates continue to go up, and people are expecting rates to top 8% possibly next month. So as interest rates go up over 8%, people will stop buying homes as quickly. They're not going to just stop altogether. They just will not buy them as quickly. This affects the realtors that are helping people buy and sell those homes, because now realtors are not making money. This also impacts mortgage brokers and inspectors and construction workers, right? Appraisers, designers, right? Painters. It doesn't matter. This will impact every single one of them and so many more. And that's the real problem. It's not just the main layoff that negatively impacts the economy, but that kind of just spirals and snowballs, and everybody in this economy is going to feel the pain. So that's the real concern, is that a lot of people are just looking at specific industries, and that's fine. But as certain sectors start to be impacted, others are going to be impacted as well. So if we start to see this, additional layoffs, more of a downturn, it is going to snowball. It's going to get bigger, bigger, and bigger, and everybody is going to feel the effects. But let's not just talk about all the bad news that's going on. Let's also give you some good news. And this is good news for people that have flown with Frontier Airlines over the past couple of years. Frontier Airlines has been ordered to pay passengers $222 million in refunds. This is actually part of the United States Department of Transportation saying that airlines need to issue $622 million in refunds, but Frontier only has to pay $222 million. Now, again, this is coming from the U.S. Department of Transportation. According to Frontier, they say they've already issued $92 million in refunds so far to customers who voluntarily canceled non-refundable tickets during the pandemic and weren't entitled to refunds. Now, this is actually good because I have a handful of friends that have purchased tickets to go somewhere back in the summer of 2020. They never went. Obviously, a lot of places were shut down. Then they tried to get a refund. They couldn't get a refund. Then what they did was they got their tickets moved. They still haven't used their tickets, and they are still not getting their refund. So hopefully they will be getting a refund very soon. And if anybody else flew with Frontier and had to do this exact same thing, then you understand why this is so frustrating. You spend your money, can't go anywhere, you want your money back. Simple as that. So that's the good news there. But that is what we know as of this time. As I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share our latest news and updates again. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.